Hey guys, it's Jedi Lex, and welcome to the 29th episode of Beyond Tatooine, where I bring on different collectors to talk about how their love of Star Wars originated, as well as take a look at and chat about their collections. And on today's episode, I have Scott from the Spice Runners Lounge. So, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you doing? This is fantastic. Thank you so much for asking me on. You know,
Absolutely. I had your other half
my
on,
other
and
half, yes.
now I have both of you guys. So,
Be honest, she's a lot more interesting than I am. But the thing is that like when you hit me up, it was one of those moments to where you're like, "She looking at somebody else back there?" No, she you asked me. So I am truly honored. So thank you.
yeah. It's a pleasure. It is a pleasure to have you on. So, thank you for coming on.
Of
For
course.
people who may not know you, can you tell us a little bit about your channel, the Spice Runners Lounge, what you guys got going on?
Yeah, Spice Runners Lounge is something that we do every Friday on YouTube. It's a Spice Runners Lounge. You can find us out there. A lot of live content. We're basically older people that pretend we're 14 years old during the. That's almost how it is. We're goofy. We're laid back. We go through collecting. We go through sharing your pickups. So if you're part of the Spice Runners Lounge page on Facebook, you can add what you picked up recently or some of your favorite things in your collection, and we share that stuff on the show. So definitely, we got a great family going on with that. We have a lot of fun. We just hang out and just have a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have developed a really close-knit community that
Yes.
is really, I feel like, hard to find. So I feel like it's really cool what you guys have been able to develop.
Well, we care. I mean, we've become a family over it. Originally, it was Eben saying, "Hey, would you like to come on my show?" And you're like, "Yeah, it's cool." We've talked a little bit, but and it was like instant family between Eben and Jeff Sage and J2SO and Jason Hansen, Duback and Joel Hawsey. I mean, everybody has just become just so close, and that it is probably one of the awesome things about this community is that not only do you have some amazing, talented people out there that create things or can do things, whatever it is, but everybody cares about the other person and helps the other person out, and it's just I'm in awe with it and absolutely love every second of it.
Yeah, you guys do some amazing stuff. It's always a pleasure when I can like pop in. And now that I'm not
Hmm.
working Friday nights, it'll be easier for me to watch and kind
Yeah,
of tune in. But it's always great listening to you guys. You have great conversations. You guys are very intelligent and well versed in Star
thank you.
Wars. And it's quite refreshing to see kind of the outpour that you guys get of your love and the community that you guys have built. It's
Yeah.
always fun. Like I always jump in the chat, everyone's like, "Hey Lex," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, hey guys." So it's like
That's how it is.
it's
That's the
just so
family that I'm talking
welcoming.
about. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
phenomenal.
It's like, hey, come on over. Let's hang out. Let's do this. It's like we've created an environment instead of watching a bunch of knuckleheads talking knuckleheaded stuff. We've created an environment to where it's like everybody's over at somebody's house, hanging
Yeah.
out and joining in and talking and, sharing their opinions, whatever. It's always great. Always great.
It is. It is. I truly enjoy what you guys have, built
Thank you.
and where it's blossomed, so it's beautiful. I guess I'll start with my first question.
Okay.
How were you introduced to Star Wars? What really like drawed you in? You were like, "Yep, I love this franchise."
It was probably back when I looked like this, just so you know. So this is after seeing Star Wars: New Hope, 1977, in the theaters.
Yeah.
So the thing is, that was my Luke Skywalker impression. If you couldn't figure that out, but basically, my parents had gotten tickets to it. This was in May, so it was right around the time it was released, if memory
Mhm.
serves me correctly. They tried to get tickets for an 8 p.m. show, sold out. So they got tickets for a 10 p.m. show. They're like, you know what, Scotty's just going to fall asleep. No big deal. So I'm on my mom's lap in the theater, and I'm kind of, slunched back and kind of tired. And the opening crawl hits, and she's reading everything to me in my ear, and I'm watching it. And then as soon as that Tanev came out and that Star Destroyer, I sat straight up, and I stayed like that through the entire film.
Wow.
That Halloween, my mom wound up making me a full paper mache Darth Vader helmet and a costume, and that's what I went. So lightsabers back then for us were a flashlight with a tube on it. It was monstrously huge, but I carried that thing around and was happy, and then had to wait the year and a half for the toys because there was no toys. And all that. So that's what started it. It was right away. And you're going from a kid who thought he was Batman before that. So when I was 4 years old, I was Batman, and I played Batman, and I wound up breaking my arm twice playing Batman. And then there was the Bionic Man and Spider-Man and some other stuff, but it was nothing like the way Star Wars hit me when I saw it. I just immediately glued to it. And I probably saw it between the age of 7 till maybe 10 or close to 10. I probably saw it about 15 times in the theaters.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. I wish I could have seen the original in the theaters. I was like very young when the prequels hit, so like I don't even think my dad even took me to go see the prequels in theaters, but I like want to experience that. I got to experience the Return of the Jedi when that came back, but I was like, now I got to wait for the other two, and I was like, that'll be an experience. So I can only imagine. I probably would have done the same thing, go to the movie theaters. That's what my dad told me. He was like, that's all we had, you know, we just would go to the movie theater. He was like, I don't know how many times I saw it, but we would just go every weekend, and I was like, must be nice. Yeah.
So two things with that. Seeing Return of the Jedi so many times on DVD or CD, whatever it was, or now on the internet, it's like seeing it in the theater recently again was great. It was, and I was actually catching things I never noticed before. So I thought that was really cool. So that is an experience still at the theaters. But as far as, that's all we had to do back then. So we would go, we were kids, so we would go to the theater. They'd pay for one ticket, and then we'd just stay in the theater all day. Go from this movie to that movie to this movie, whatever. We were horrible people, but yeah, we had a lot of fun. And no internet, no way to find out stuff unless you actually went to the toy store. Or one of your friends goes, hey, I got this. You're like, oh, I didn't know that existed, so.
Yeah, probably a lot of word of mouth and comics and the books and stuff probably back then, so. Yeah, but that's a good introduction. So the original trilogy, kind of your OG. I know you had your little your Luke phase. Is Luke possibly your favorite character?
This is a tough one because it's like I like so many things that are Star Wars, right? Like the original trilogy, I can't think of a vehicle I don't like, right? I'm really into ships, and for some reason I like to say the word right today, but I'm really into ships. I'm into the costumes, like the helmets and everything. The characters, I would definitely say Luke was a big one. But again, I was Darth Vader the first time for Halloween. So I probably lean a little bit more towards that. I love Stormtroopers. But maybe my favorite character is the Millennium Falcon. It's just one of my favorite ships. I just love the whole thing. I don't know how to go, this I like better than that or this or this. There's something about the whole experience. It's like going to Disneyland. It's a whole experience, and it brings me back. And I just always have a huge smile on my face if I watch A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, or Empire Strikes Back. I just do.
Absolutely. I'm sure it just brings you right back. So I couldn't tell that you like ships, by the way. It's not like you have a few behind you. But,
I got one. That's one that I'm working on, yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of ships, where do you kind of, I guess... I don't know how to phrase this. Are you more into the Imperial type ships or what kind of ships? I know you like all of them and it's hard to pick some of them, but I feel like, is there one or a few that you really draw to and you're like, yeah, if I could have any ship, it'd be that one.
I don't even know where to go with that one because there's so many that are great. The Millennium Falcon, Star Destroyers, absolutely love the Star Destroyers. The Tanev, the land speeder is even fantastic. The snow speeder, the AT-ATs are a big one for me. Absolutely love the AT-ATs. I think there's probably a little bit more on the Imperial side, but I still, like I said, Millennium Falcon, X-Wings, Y-Wings. It's just the design of the stuff and the way that it looked. It wasn't, sci-fi before that was things like Space 1999 or Lost in Space. Everything was, or even Star Trek, it was very, very clean, very pristine, and then you come into this world where the things are grungy and dirty, and it just sold it. It just looked amazing. And then even when we got the toys, they were cool, but they were still too clean. It didn't quite do it. But it's tough for me because I like I said, there's so much of it. I just love the whole. Yeah. It's my bubble. It's the whole of everything. If it looks Star Wars to me, like the Jajaric table, which I unfortunately have on the floor at the moment because it's this taking space, but little things like that, I just love it. It just
Yeah.
it brings that happy place. It takes all that misery and anything else that you're going through in life, and it throws it out the window, and you can just kind of sit there for a little while and enjoy that and how things were back then, or whatever it is, wherever you go to. It's kind of a place that you can escape for a little bit. And yeah, and that might be part of the love too. But I like a lot of movies. I mean, Back to the Future, Indiana Jones. There's so many that I really, really love and love watching all the time. But nothing has ever hit me like Star Wars, ever.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
feel
something
that.
that's like my blood. Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been into like, the Power Rangers. I love Marvel. It's kind of gone off the deep
Hmm.
end a little bit for me lately, but I feel like Star Wars has always been like a constant in my life. And no matter what's going on, I can always just sit down and put something on and enjoy it. And
And
I think
enjoy
that
it. Yeah.
that's, why everyone kind of likes Star Wars is there's something that you can connect. And even though it is fiction and in a galaxy far, far away, it feels close to home at times. And I feel like that's what really draws people into it.
Well, there's a couple of other things there. I also want to say it's kind of pure. And what I mean by pure is that it was when filmmaking was about the story. When filmmaking was about trying to bring you into something and take you away from something for a couple hours, There's a lot of movies that have been out there that are I want to say trash, but that's the wrong word. It's kind of like they're a waste of time. They don't go anywhere. There's really no depth to any kind of story. Not that you're looking for an Academy Award, Oscar winner movie. It's just that you're like, okay, whatever, that was fun. I don't care. Move on. This, you watch, like, Luke progress, not only as an actor, but as a character and grow up. And then the relationship with Han and Leia grow up. And, I mean, you got to remember, Carrie Fisher was 19 when she did A New Hope. And just the whole thing. And I don't think any of them thought that there would, except for George's wish, there'd be another one. I mean, after the first one, everything was trashed. They had to redo that stuff for the second one. So, but yeah, I think there's that pureness of it that here's story. It's good and evil. And these are bad and this is good. And we're going to overcome evil and we're going to win the day. And it's just a simple story, but you just connect. I mean, a 7-year-old connected to it. Most 7-year-olds or even younger people connected to it. There's something that George did in it, but even as an adult or adults that saw it back then connected to it. He did something magical with that.
Yeah, they really did. I feel like people of all ages can really enjoy it and just put everything else aside and just watch it, because that's how I bonded with my dad over it. He was like, you know what, I'm going to put it on. And we watched it. And that was it. That was our thing. We watched all of the movies together. We watched all the shows. Like, we just make it a point. Like,
Nice.
I even set a date with him. I was like, we're going to have a little dad and daughter date and we're going to go see Phantom Menace in theaters. Like, it's just like become our thing. And I feel like it's great because when I do talk to other people, they're like, yeah, it's usually a family member that kind of introduces you to it, and then you have that bond with them. So I feel like
Right.
it's always interesting to kind of hear those stories because I've also experienced it. So it's always very fun and pure, I guess. Good word.
Yeah, there's something that's wholesome about it in a good way.
Yeah.
The whole just, hey, let's get together and watch Star Wars. Right on. When you hear somebody nowadays, I've never seen any of them. You're just thinking, wow, you're missing out. Even if you didn't like it, whatever, you got to experience it. There's just something, I don't know, something cool about it. Really cool.
Yeah, some of my classmates are like, hey, don't get mad at me, but I've never watched a single Star Wars movie. I was like, I can't get mad at you. They're like, yeah, but you're Jedi Lex. And I was like, I know, but like on the side, one, I'm not going to get mad at you that you haven't watched it,
Right.
but two, you should watch it. It's an experience. You'll probably be enthralled with it, but it's the same people that haven't watched Harry Potter or anything like that either. So I was
They're
like,
kind of in their own little tunnel that they live in or something. Yeah. Yeah.
so I was like, I can't be mad at you. Yes,
Right.
I am Lex. I love, Star Wars, but I do recommend you watch it because I'm sure
Hmm.
you're gonna love it. But yeah, I don't know.
No,
It's
absolutely.
very interesting when people haven't watched Star Wars because I feel like it's just such a prominent part of like just our culture. I feel like
Hmm.
it has become so.
It
I don't
does.
know.
It does, and you can almost relate certain things to however you want. This
Yeah.
represents that or this or whatever. But I don't know. I know of kids that were like terrified. They're adults now, terrified when they first saw Darth Vader, and for some reason he never scared me. I was just like, whoa, what's this? Like I said, that's what I wanted to be for Halloween, and I was fascinated by by the whole look. So
Yeah, I was definitely very scared of when I was younger. When my dad showed me the original trilogy, Vader without his helmet on, I was like, "Oh, that's a little too much." And then Palpatine, I was like, "Oh, he's very wrinkly. I don't know about this." And now I look at him and I'm like, "Wow, like these are like it's so
yeah.
cool." But yeah, when I was little, that stuff used to scare the shit out of me.
No, it didn't. I don't know why. I mean, there are other things because I saw American Werewolf in London in 1980 in the theater. So I was 10. I was 10 years old. And I liked it quite a bit, but there were some parts where I freaked out and jumped because a lot of the movies back then, they showed gore, but they didn't really show gore like they would today. It was more they would leave things up to the imagination. I think part of it had to do is the special effects department was like, I don't know how we're going to do that. And they're like, okay, well, we'll just leave it up to the imagination. And I think with some of that made it more scary. But yeah, I jumped a few times in a theater with that. But as far as horror movies, the one that terrified me the most would have been Jaws, and it would have been somewhere in between 77 and 80. I was scared to go in my own pool or the bathtub for some reason. You know, Jaws for some reason freaked me out more than Jason or even Freddy or American Werewolf in London or any of that. It was Jaws for some reason. So.
Yeah, I mean, Jaws is definitely, it was scary back then. I know my mom is still to this day scared from that movie. She like refuses to watch it. And she had like a whole thing, like she wouldn't go to the beach for the longest time. And I
Yep.
was like, oh. So I get it, you know. It's not as scary now, I feel like, when I watch it. But back then, when they showed it to me, I was like, oh, yeah, no, like this is so, I can't do it. I'm not going
I can't
swimming.
do it.
I just
Yep.
keep me away from the beach, you know. I
Yep.
just don't even want to experience it. But yeah, I don't know. But that's what I like about Star Wars too, is there's aspects of it that they kind of leave up for interpretation. Because I feel like when they spell it out for you, sometimes it's not as fun.
It's too easy. Yeah, it's too easy.
You know?
No challenge. You kind of have to go through it and be able to peel, the onion layers back as you go with certain stuff. Even though Star Wars is more just there you go, that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sound, the music, the way the ship sounded, the visual, the whole thing is just it just hits you. There's not one part where, even though you can see it now, but like back then where you're like, oh, I'm out of the universe. You just took me out. You threw me out. Whereas they do that stuff today. They'll do something and you're like, that just lost me. It doesn't. You are engaged. You stay engaged the entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're a big music guy. You sent me a video
Yes.
and we'll take a look at it after. But what are your thoughts on just like the scores of Star Wars? Like, since Disney's taken it over, have they kind of carried on like the sounds? Because I never really paid attention to the music until I started watching Ashton shared it, I think, on YouTube. And he was like, they play this sound and then this person's theme. And I was like, whoa, like this is a whole other level that I never really kind of like paid attention to. So I'm wondering, as you kind of musically inclined, what your thoughts are on it.
Music, to me, music is a character in the film or the TV show or whatever it is. It's either setting a mood or it's an actual character. And when they do things where they pull this stuff in to bring in those characters, you may not recognize it right off the bat, but your subconscious knows, oh, that's Luke, or that's Obi-Wan, or that's Anakin, or something like that, right? There's these themes or these little motifs for each one. John Williams did an amazing job. I mean, just that opening bop, from Star Wars just grabs you. I mean, I'm getting, hair standing up. It just grabs you right away, But with other films or other things that I've seen, I just have always gravitated into that music. And if it's there, I latch to it, There's a director, Michael Mann, that would do a lot of high action scenes, but the soundtrack would be very, very slow. And there was a different mood that it would create. Now, I'll give you a quick example. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Miami Vice episodes, but there was one where it was a fast car chase, a really high-paced thing, and what was being played was In the Air Tonight from Phil Collins. And that kind of a thing creates a different feel. So it's a different character, a different ad that it's bringing to it. As far as what they're doing now, I love the Mandalorian theme. I think Luke did a fantastic job with that. Music for that was really good. The recent stuff with the Acolyte, I will say that the music, to me, is fine for a Hallmark show. or movie. It didn't fit what was going on, even with that. And that was kind of, take it. You liked it, didn't like it, whatever it is. It didn't fit. It would throw it off. It's like, why are we playing romantic comedy music right here? Why are we doing this? Some parts, I mean, the music was good. There was nothing wrong with the music. It just didn't fit with what was happening, in my opinion. So yeah, it does. It does matter a lot. It can make or break something, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I was watching, he makes like little TikToks about like certain scenes, and like they're like, oh well, they're playing Kylo's theme here and this, and I was like, I never even picked up on that stuff, and really kind of like like you can just understand, I feel like, so much more when you really understand the music. So I feel like that's such like a layer that's been opened up to me, that I can now like really pay attention to that stuff and really understand like the music, because I feel like it adds so much that I probably subconsciously just like swept under the rug, and I was like, yep, that sounds good, like, classic theme, this and that. But now I like listen, I'm like, oh well, they're playing this person's theme, so like, what could this mean? But I did think it was interesting, the Acolytes like music choices, but I wasn't sure where they were going with it, because they played certain themes for certain characters, and I was like, are they relating this? Like, I think they played Kylo's theme for Kymir the Stranger, and I was like, are they going to expand upon that? Is he a Ren? Like, where is this going? So
yeah, I felt like a lot of things in the Accolade, they would set up to expand on it, but never would. Kind of a thing, you know what I mean? You felt like you got left hanging, but the music to me, like if you were to go back and watch it, because I know you enjoyed it, you'll start to feel those places where it feels out. It doesn't feel cohesive. It's not glued with it. Whereas you go back and you watch something else, like a favorite movie. Let's say it's not a Star Wars thing. Go watch a favorite movie that might be older, and you'll notice things that if you really start to pay attention to the music, how it impacts how you feel about that character, how you see that side, how you think of it. Oh my gosh, this scene's beautiful. Whatever it is, it's all part of it. It's a character. It's part of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. Okay, cool. So you sent me some pictures and a video. We'll take a look at the video first. Is there anything you want to say like prior, or just play it and we'll talk about it after?
Yeah, well, I'll just put it up with this. I did just throw this up on my YouTube channel. I did this video a while back. I just forgot to put it up. Bad Scott. But anyways, I had been asked. So the lead up to this is I had been hit up. I came on Collection Wars as a guest. They did like an open mic thing. I'm like, hey guys, da 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 da, and I was playing a bunch of my stuff because I have my keyboard in front of me, which I do now. There it is. So I started doing that, and Gabe was like, hey, he goes, would you be interested in doing an intro for us? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it, because they already had a video done. So I had to figure that out, and this is what I came up with. So you can hit play.
Okay, cool beans.
There you go. Quick and simple.
No, it's very impactful. That was really cool. And I like how you have all the things kind of like in the background that are Star Wars related and in the collection. That is
the intro video for Collection Wars that's playing, that's playing there, that's in the background. I just kind of made it less opaque so that I could sit on top of it, right? But that's what they had, and they had already done that. So I was trying to not only come up with something that it would match what they're doing or work with what they were doing. So like that explosion was in there, but in the original music they had, there was nothing there. It just kind of was like, there's no sound. So I had to come up with that, and that's kind of what started to find where the pacing was of the video, and then to match with it. So, gotcha. But because of that, I wound up doing the music for Spice Runner's intro, which was another piece that I had done a couple years earlier, and then Rogue 5 Cantina. So I've been blessed that I've been even allowed to do that and that people wanted me to do that. So I feel very honored that Collection Wars had it, that Evan and the crew likes that piece that I did, and Rogue 5 Cantina. So.
Yeah, I mean, they're phenomenal pieces. I think that they like totally open the podcasts like in a very great way. So I feel like anyone would be lucky to have an intro from you.
Thank you. I appreciate that big time. Like the one for Rogue 5 Cantina, she was like, she goes, I'm feeling like disturbed and this and that. And I'm like, okay, we want it heavier, and she wound up getting a little bit more AC/DC-ish, but that's what I wrote based on what she wanted. So that's what kind of came out.
Yeah. And then you sent me some pictures too of your collection.
Some are older, but newer updates, but yeah.
So you mentioned you're a helmet guy, so I can see you've got some helmets. Are those like Black Series helmets?
Okay, so I'm trying to think of it's like 2020. Always been a Star Wars lover and collected little Star Wars things here and there. But because the way life is and where things are, finances, so on and so forth, I never went like nuts, nor did I really realize some of the stuff that was out there for Star Wars fans. I knew of things like Sideshow Collectibles, but it was early on. It was like, oh, that's cool. And I never did any more on it because at that time I was probably either buying machinery for my company at the time, when I had my own company, trying to pay mortgage or rent or a car payment or just survive. That was where the focus was with things. So it wasn't until the pandemic that it was at the tail end of 2020 that I finally saw it was the Mandalorian hot toy, the original Durasteel. And I saw a review on it and I'm like, I gotta have this. I must have this. And I'm like, I could do it because that was the part of the year where things started changing to where it was like, I need a new chair for my desk. So I originally bought one that was coming and my wife said, no, that's not the one you want. Cancel it, buy the one you want. So I got the one I want. Then I got a big monitor. And, things started changing finally for me. As far as being able to go, you know what, I'm going to stop trying to save this and have this for a day that who knows when screw it. I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to enjoy things. So that's what started some of this. So then with the YouTube channels, like, Collection Wars a little bit later, but like Rogue 1/6, PJ Show, Paradox Nerd, when he was doing that, and some other things that were out there, that's where I was finding out about these collectibles and everything else that was out on the market. So then it was trying to get your hands on stuff, which was difficult. So the EFX Vader helmet that's in the middle there, that's the one that it was hard to find because it did not exist anymore. I did find a brand new one on eBay. He wanted a little bit more than what it went for when it was originally for sale back in 2017, I think. But I did get it. But in the meantime, I got a Black Series one to see if it would quench my thirst, and it didn't. Because there's a certain look to it. It can't be symmetrical, and there's a wonkiness to the helmets. So that was where it started with that one. The X-Wing is a Black Series. Again, hard to find this stuff. That one wound up coming from UK. What was it, Zavi or something like that? I think it's Zavi.
Oh, wow.
And other things. Now, the Stormtrooper helmet that's there is the EFX one. I currently have an RS one that's sitting in that spot right now. Mandalorian's Black Series. The TIE Fighter is a Novos. Found that at Disneyland. And they actually had it. And the Novos had been defunct for a couple years. So I was lucky to find that. Yeah. But that's where it started, with that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like it's out of control. And I constantly am reminded that I'm an irresponsible adult. So.
I guess we're in the same boat then. A lot of us are.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm with you, there is an aspect of saving and kind of being, financially responsible and stuff, but there's also like a part of me that, as you said, you got to live life. You got to enjoy life. And sometimes it means buying the things that you really want. And if it makes you happy, then buy it. Don't go spend all your money on collectibles, but, try to be responsible. But at the same time, you got to live life. So I
Yeah,
think that's
be
the
a
fun
little
part.
stupid, not totally stupid.
Yes.
There's a difference. There's a
Yeah.
difference. But yeah, you find yourself work, save, save, save. Can't do this. Can't buy this. Can't do this because before this started, and I'll stop with this. I one of my favorite aircraft that has ever been made is the SR-71, which is the Blackbird, the spy plane. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but a lot of people are. It's an iconic looking ship. We built it in the 60s without computers, with the slide ruler, and this thing is amazing. It's always been a beautiful ship, and I came across a couple collectibles that were probably 19, 20 inches long of it. I'm like, man, I really want it. $100, die cast, and I'm like, I can't justify it because I need to make sure I've got rent and I've got this and that was what was in my brain. And so I bought a couple little ones to see if it would quench my thirst, which it didn't. So next thing you know, I wound up with this one, and then about a day later, I found another one that was the same size, but it had more detail, and it was $50 more, and I'm like, I want that one. So I tried to cancel that order, and the guy's like, I'm sorry, it already shipped. So then I wind up with two of them. So moral is, I thought $100 was too expensive. I wound up spending $100 for that one, $150 for the other, and probably about $75 for the little ones. So I went way overboard, but I felt so guilty about doing that, and it bothered me. I still love them, but it bothered me. And then when we get to this time, when I start doing this, no, it's not going to bother me. I needed it. It refreshes your soul. There's something about certain things that refresh your soul, and I had to do it.
100%. I totally agree with you. And I feel like there's levels to it, I started with Funko because I was like, my buddies were like, oh, like I'm going to collect the anime ones. And I was like, well, I want to like go do this stuff with you guys, but I'm not really into anime like that. And then I found out they had Star Wars ones. And I was like, oh, we just unlocked something.
Why do Funkos reproduce? I mean, you think, oh, I'll just get one or two. And next thing you know, you're like, I've got 35 Funkos. How do I have these?
Yeah. Yep. So I definitely have a few of those, but then I started, talking to other collectors and seeing, there's helmets, there's lightsabers, there's statues, like there's so much out there, and and then you get into like the replica stuff, and I was like, there's levels to the shit, and I was like, so it's like it's a slow process, but I feel like at some point I kind of want to get some of those replicas things, but we'll see. It's a work in progress.
There's something about having, like certain helmets or a lightsaber or an E11 or whatever it is, some of the props that you're just like, wow, I'm actually, this is cool, or this is how I imagined it. One of the things that's interesting about some of the props is that you imagine it a certain way, and then when you're faced with an exact replica, you're like, well, why is it so light? It's supposed to be heavy or this, and it's not, so part of that you have to kind of get through. But yeah, I had one. I don't know what I did with. There it is. It's up here in the corner. So Zach, Grilled Cheese Collectibles, did this lightsaber, and it's the V4 Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi one. And then you've got a picture of all the other ones we have. But yeah, lightsabers are addictive, very addictive.
They are, especially the replica ones and stuff like that. I guess that's not the lightsaber.
There's a Max. Yeah, it's my Max.
The little baby. Is that the one that hangs out in the little land speeder?
No, that's Maddie. Max is like he's the firstborn, if you want to call it. He's 6 months older. He's Bengal. We brought him home. He was maybe this big. Up at my work up in L.A., he was a little kitten running across the street, and some kid there saved him from getting hit. Figured, I'm going to keep him, and I said, dude, if you don't want him, I'll take him. Immediately, and within 15 hours, he was coming home with me. But he was too young. He was too young at that time. But he's taken over the house. So, just so you know. And like this stuff down here, it's like I've got the 332nd helmet. The artillery trooper is Janine's. The General Giant bust, the C-3PO bust that's up there, the Yoda, which is kind of put together. It all varies. It's all over the place, but it's all Star Wars.
Yeah. And those busts, I feel like there's a name for them where they have like the special base that matches. What are those called?
Legends. They're Legends 3D
Legend.
is the Gentle Giant bus. They do great stuff. Faces sometimes can be this way or that way, but helmeted stuff and is always usually spot on. Dead on.
Yeah, that's cool. So do you have all the Legends ones, or are there other ones out there? Because I feel
There's
like
other
there's
ones out there. That Greedo, if you can see that Greedo right in between in there, Janine got that, and I think it is a early 2000s or late 90s piece
oh wow.
that she was able to find in Macari. The Yoda and the Luke and some of the other ones are within the last few years, so they're not that old. But yeah, they have a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I don't think we have them all. Like, we still need an Emperor. I just saw today because Janine had pre-ordered the Gamorrean Guard one on Amazon. It's not going to be due to ship until June 2025 now. It's moved an entire year. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. And sometimes with Amazon, I get like a little sketched out pre-ordering because I feel like sometimes they'll just like cancel on you randomly, or like they just continue to push the date back because then they're like out of stock. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then you start seeing them in stores, and I'm like, oh, well, this isn't still on pre-order. So I don't know. Amazon, it's so good, but it's so sketchy sometimes.
That whole thing with the pre-order, we just went through that. Janine had pre-ordered animated series Batmobile. Right, big guy. Pre-ordered it through Target, and then all of a sudden she's seeing it on Target, whatever, that it's available, and she's like, "My pre-order is now showing back-ordered." What's the point of a pre-order?
Yeah.
If you get the product and you just start throwing it on the shelves, you don't take care. Why pre-order anything from anybody? You know. Hasbro would do the same thing. They'd show up on Amazon or they'd show up in certain stores, and people pre-order from Hasbro and are still waiting for the product. It's like, it's not right. You don't do pre-orders, or do them right, one way or the other.
Yeah, so I try to just like get lucky on drop day and see if I can get it. Sometimes it's bit me in the ass, but yeah, the pre-orders I feel like I've kind of steered away from lately. I'm tired of like waiting, and I was like, maybe I'll just, the thrill of the chase kind of thing. But
yeah, but then there's FOMO. You don't want to miss out and find out. What do you mean they sold them out? What do you mean they're not making any more? I had a chance to pre-order and I didn't do it. Yeah, it's like, you got to go with your gut.
Yeah. Yep, it comes with the I guess you can kind of sometimes tell what's going to be, sold out or highly sought after, but you just got to make those decisions, I guess.
Right.
And is this the one that she painted for you?
No, this one's mine. So this is the 2014, it's a Hasbro, I forget the name of it. You can't put figures in it, right? But it's pretty dang detailed. It's pretty close to being right. There's some things here or there that you can change. Like, it didn't have any greeblies on the side. It just had stickers. But it was, I think, $60 at Walmart back then. Janine found a blank one on Macari. She's like, hey, what do you think of this? I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. And I think they asked like $70 for it or something. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it, And so it shows up. It had stickers on it. It was all dusty. And it's like, if you guys, if you're going to sell anything, please just wipe it down real quick. It's not that hard. Came in really nasty. I was like, okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm probably going to take stickers off. And then I started finding these things where people use this as they redo it. They repaint it. They do all this other stuff with it. And it looks freaking great, because the only other Falcon that's out there that's close to this size is obviously like the Legends or the Smuggler's Run, which is the big Hasbro ones. Which are great because they're playable, but not accurate, to what the filming model was. The other option was the DeAgostini kit, which is expensive, but also really hard to find because I stopped doing it. Recently, Fanhome picked it up and started doing it. So not available, not in the course. And I started finding people were redoing these things. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. So I got the right paints for this. I started learning how to airbrush. I started putting it all together. I did the work on it. I drilled the holes so I can do the mounting brackets and all this other stuff. And this still isn't even done, but that's the basis of the bottom of it right now. And I've done the top, and I just got to finish it off. But that's another part of me, is I like to do things. I like to make things or do stuff. And learning how to do this and paint and has been great. It's been awesome, and that's kind of like what this guy back here is.
Yeah. Well, I think you sent maybe this one, right?
Yeah, it's in there somewhere, right there, so you can see it. So this is the medical frigate. Now, what's interesting is that I have been wanting to get into 3D printing for a while. Looking at it, I don't know, it's too difficult, da 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 da. And then you start seeing a company that's coming out with these 3D printers, and people are saying these are the Apple of printers as far as plug and play, good to go. This is 3D printed with not resin. This is an FDM, so it's filament, and it just has primer on it. I haven't even started to paint the thing yet. And it's like, I'm blown away by it. It's 34 inches long. The stand is even 3D printed. Took me probably about 5 days to do everything. And I've got a model, right? I didn't have to go out and spend, hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars on a kit. I got a model that it may not be perfectly accurate, but man, I am damn happy with it. And I'm going to have a lot of fun painting this. And I'm going to go on to another one. That's awesome. That's awesome. Because you're looking at like $30 worth of material there, if that.
Yep.
And some time.
Yeah. I think some people kind of like, once you buy the printer, I feel like that's probably the biggest expense, because the filament, I feel like is a lot cheaper than what, depending on which one you get, of course, it's like a little bit cheaper. Like I buy a nice roll, it's probably like $25-$30, and it lasts me.
Or
like,
less.
I can print a lot. So, but it's pretty cool. So yeah, I know you guys just got the printer and stuff. So
do you have a 3D printer? Do you 3D print?
I have like a little Ender.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's how it started. We're looking at having 3 printers now. So after one, then Janine bought herself a little one, and now we just bought another one because we're fighting over the big one. So, yeah. And like
you
I
guys,
said, this thing's big.
It is. Did you have to like splice it into a few pieces, kind of thing?
Yeah. So it's built in sections, and then it's putting them together, and you go ahead and 3D print like the dowels to go in and glue it and do all that. But I mean, it went together beautifully, and it looks awesome. And yeah, I'm just blown away by the whole process.
Yeah, and there's like really cool, companies out there too, like Galactic Armory, I think.
Yep.
And they like you just buy the file, and like, or you can even sign up for like the patron page, and then you just get all of it, and it's like crazy that you can like, now you have this stuff in the palm of your hands. Yes, you got to put a little work in and paint it and stuff, but I feel like that's cooler than just buying it and looking at it, like, because now every piece that you have has a story to it. Like, hey, I made this
absolutely. Well, they do fantastic work. Aaron does fantastic work. I'm pretty sure it's Aaron. I follow him on YouTube. I think they're amazing. But his files, he's all gone bamboo printers now, which is what we've got. We've gone in, like I said, it's like the Apple of the printers. But yeah, you could go buy, a DL44, right? And it'd be awesome, and it cost you $400 or $500, and it'd be metal and cool, awesome. That's awesome. But with this, you can print it, paint it, and do it, and then go, that was awesome, I want to do it again. Or I want to do it again because I know I'm better now, or whatever. There's something that I agree with you. It's cooler. You were involved in it. It wasn't just cool, put it on the shelf, and then go, nice, and move on. It's something that you had to work with in your hands, and I don't know, just awesome.
Yeah, it makes it the collecting and having those pieces. I feel like they're not as expensive, but I feel like they're worth more because you put the time into it, and you really like some sweat, maybe some tears occasionally, but it's all
as long as you get the results you're expecting, you're being realistic, right? There's certain things that I'm not going to be able to 3D print a hot toy that I'm going to be happy with clothes and stuff. A statue maybe, but so there's certain things that where it falls in and where it doesn't. But yeah.
Totally.
The Boba Bust.
Boba
Bust. Yeah, I love this piece.
I think it's cool.
This is the sideshow piece. This is the second version. Something I've always wanted. I've had my eye on it forever. It would be on sideshow for $1,500, and then it'd go down to maybe $13, and then it'd go back up to $15, and I don't know where it's at now. If it's even, I know the newer version's almost $2,000. But wanted it. Didn't know if I'd ever be able to get it. Janine found one on Macari. Guy was selling it. Came with a blaster. Came with a like a resin cast of the blaster, a film cell, and you'll see that in one of the pictures. And he wanted like $1,400 or something like that for her, $1,300. And it's like, she's like, "What do you think? This is awesome." She had just gotten a bonus. I'm like, "It is, but It's still up there. So she started a conversation with them, and then I get involved, and I'm going back and forth with them. And he's like, "Oh, okay, you know." Blah, 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 blah. Came back, and we hit it off really well, I guess. That he got a few offers, and then he came back and said, "Hey, you know, I'd be willing to do this because I want it to go to a good home." And da 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 da. And we're like, yeah, it's just still a little, you know. And finally, he comes back and he goes, he gave it to us. I think it was under 1,000. He offered it. And he says, with the blaster, with this, free shipping. This is when shipping went, you know, this little thing was now $300 to ship, whatever it was. Free shipping. That thing showed up in pristine condition, wrapped, the gun, the film cell. Still blown away by it. And how cool. He goes, I want it to go to a good home. That was more important to him than making $200 more, $300, whatever he was looking for. So, and thanks to my wife who pursued it, and she goes in and starts the conversation. She's the people person, you know.
She is very easy to talk to.
Yes.
She's awesome.
Yes. Unless you're married to her. No, I'm just kidding. Well, that one's going to come back to bite me. Yeah.
No, it won't. We're just playing. But, and then, are these the hot toys? Like all of these hot toys?
Yes, and there's actually, I've still got like 5 in boxes I need to get out. I need to move things around. Mm-hmm. But yeah, these are hot toys. So that's the Empire, Vader, Return of the Jedi, R2. This is Sideshow C-3PO is going to wind up over here because I have the Return of the Jedi one. Yeah, I mean, yeah, all of it. Now, all up above is the Mandalorian stuff where it started.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. Sideshow's been like kicking ass with the hot toys lately. I feel like it's one after another.
The thing is, absolutely awesome. That latest Vader and everything. Mm-hmm. Where I'm really stoked is that I don't want any of them. I'm like, those are cool. I don't want it because I'm going back more original trilogy-ish. Nothing that I've seen that I'm like, oh, I gotta have it. I just think it's awesome, but I don't need it. So I feel good about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've tried really hard to stay away from hot toys, but
well, the thing is, they're worth it. They are. I mean, they've gone up, so you can play the game there. But the detail, the level of detail, the mobility for posing, everything, and if they nail the head sculpt, it's hard to say no. And they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing.
They are. I saw the battle damaged Vader, and I was like, ooh, this might do me in. I don't know. I've done a good job, but I think I gotta have that one. It just looks so cool.
I'm telling you, do it because they don't last long. Sometimes they do, but a lot of times they don't last long. And then if you do decide and you start finding yourself waking up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning going, man, I wish I had that Vader. Then you're looking at eBay, and depending on the time, it could be the same price, could be $100 more, could be a lot more. It's almost pre-order it. You put your $30 or $40 down, and if you decide in the year or whatever you don't want it, just back out. You know, it's kind of that simple.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be like a little graduation gift to myself. You know,
do it. The thing is, you need to treat yourself. You need to go out and you got to treat yourself once in a while. And you got to tell yourself, hey, you're awesome. You deserve this. This is for you. You know, nobody else is going to do it. Do it for yourself. Feel good about it. Don't just do it. Lex, do it.
I will. I'm going to pre-order it after this then.
Nice.
I'm just going to do it.
Why not? Because like I said, worst comes to worst, you're not locked into the total amount. You can back out of it in a year because people will do that. They pre-order a hot toy and they're like, all excited about it. Year goes by, it comes in, then they're like, I don't even want it anymore. That's fine. You know, you can do that. You're allowed to do that.
Absolutely. Is this the same Slave 1 that's behind you?
No, it's not.
Different? Okay.
So that's the first one that they released, which I think looks fantastic. And then they did the Book of Boba Fett, which is this one. So this one back here is more weathered. The reason why I have this one is that it was, I think it retails at like 200, and that one over there was like 120 or something, 110. Okay. I think I got it for. Then they did a sale on this, and it was like 125. And Janine saw it. I'm like, okay, I gotta have it. But that was the first vehicle I brought into the house. I saw it. I saw it on Best Buy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I've always wanted one like that. And Janine didn't understand it. She's like, so you want it? And I'm like, yeah, let's order it. Let's pull it in from Best Buy. And she's like, okay. And I brought it home, and she was like, oh my gosh. It wasn't too far after that she got the bug with everything. But that time, I remember her looking at me confused, like, you want that? I'm like, yeah, I want that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. Best Buy of all places always shocks me with some of the stuff that they carry.
yeah, I've got the Black Series Snowspeeder, which is big, from Best Buy as well. So you never know what they have.
Yeah, you just got to keep your eyes peeled, I guess. And I think this is a little bit closer up image of it, but
Yeah, and
3D
that's
printed
just
is
kind of,
good.
that's a 3D print. There's no sanding, just primer on it, and the detail is fantastic. And it's like layer lines are hard to find just on that. I am just so impressed with the whole thing.
It is. It looks cool. How long did it take to? Well, you said it took a few days to kind of get all the parts.
That front piece that you're looking at, meaning the nose, before it kind of goes into like the ear part, right? Or about see that black area that goes straight down. There's actually a cover that goes on top of it. Split that in half. That and the lower half. That piece was the longest print, and it was probably 27 hours. Just that one front piece, because it was done at a 0.12 layer heights.
Okay.
Everything else varied between 10 hours, 7 hours, 20 hours. It depended on the part and what it was doing, but no failures. Everything just printed beautifully, and it's a GAM body file. So if you guys are ever looking at little ships or something like GAM body, it's worth it. It's worth it to do it.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, I need to start 3D printing more stuff. I printed a few things. I printed like a Rebels mural for myself and stuff, but I gotta get into it. I want to print myself like a helmet or something.
Yeah, do it. No, Janine's been having a blast doing all kinds of different stuff. So yeah, absolutely. And this is a Sideshow Rancor. This is the one that came after. I mean, the Regal Robot one is absolutely amazing, but I don't have $4,000 to spend on it. Got this on eBay, believe it or not. It originally went for $600. On eBay, I got it for $540, something like that. So I got it actually less. Came beautifully shipped, perfect, no qualms. But I had to get it on eBay because they no longer had it on Sideshow when it came time to get it. So
Yeah, it happens. So, yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, is that the big one? Because I know there's like two, but I think they both look really cool. And I think size wise, this is like more realistic. I guess maybe like for my space and stuff like that. Like that would be the one I would go for. But they both look really cool.
Yeah, this one's about 16 inches tall with base. The other one from Sideshow is, I think, like 30 or something, 27. He's huge. I know Jeff Sage has him. I know PJ did a review on it. I don't know if he still has it or not.
I think he does.
That's a big piece. It's definitely a big piece.
Because I think I was interviewing him, and it was just like in the back, like look, and I was like, that thing is massive, man.
Did that thing's head just move?
I was like,
panicked. yeah.
Stay chill, stay calm. But yeah, and then got some other helmets.
Okay, so that's a Black Series helmet. It's a wedge helmet of all things that was painted and redone. So I turned that into a training remote. Made the front out of styrene, glued it all together and put that together. And then the stencils, believe it or not, is actually Cricut vinyl that's on there. I got them from Gabe from Collection Wars, Star Wars replicas. He had designed them for himself, and he actually did the painting of them. And I was able to get the stencils from him. And then when I started looking at the complexity of it, I'm like, I wonder if I can just cut this out and would it work? And it did. I mean, it was still a lot of work to figure out where everything's going, but and to get it matte and that it's not going to peel up. But yeah, that was all just pretty much done at home, for helmet. I think it looks freaking fantastic. I'm stoked with it.
Yeah, it does look really cool. Yeah, I was like, where did he get that? Because I haven't seen a helmet like that, but it's pretty cool that you were able to like put that together. That is cool.
Paint it. The shield is the hardest part in trying to get the proportions, and then of course the comets. Because if you look at it, the comets, they're two right pieces. The shadow is on the right on both of them, They're not a mirror image of each other. And it's trying to get those, and they don't sit the same. And that's how Star Wars was. Nothing was symmetrical. It was just like, yeah, whatever. It's going to be on the film for 3 seconds. Who cares?
Yeah.
And now we go back and we're like, oh my gosh, did you notice that one little thing is 2 millimeters off center? And we all get nuts with it. Yeah, it's the truth.
Yeah. Sometimes the imperfections are sometimes the best part, but I get having the replica, and it's cooler that way. Especially with, I think EFX scans the stuff in the archives, right? Yeah.
But even the Stormtrooper helmet's symmetrical, and that's why it doesn't look right. I like it. It just doesn't look right to me. The RS one, RS Prop Masters, it has the wonk, the offness to it. And I look at it and I'm like, yeah, that's the Stormtrooper. That's the New Hope Stormtrooper. Same with the Vader. There's a tweak in his jaw, and it's because it was all done by hand, original castings, and then pulled off of it. And I think that's why we attach to some of those characters somewhat. It's like my face. It's not symmetrical. Our faces are not symmetrical. But your subconscious or whatever notices it and goes, that's Vader, that's not. That's a Darth Vader costume, but that's Vader. And that's how I would see, especially that helmet. So.
Yeah, gotcha.
Rex, Millennium Workshop.
I was going to ask. I know he made a few, and I was like, is this one of them? But he does such a good job with the helmets and everything. It amazes me.
It's fantastic. It's a beautiful piece. Yeah. I want to do my own now, because now I got the printer and I want to try it, and I want to darken this one up. I asked him to be lighter with the wraps, because that's more New Hope-ish to me, but I still need to go in and darken it a little bit. He did a fantastic job. I absolutely love that piece.
Yeah, it looks great. Big fan of his stuff.
And you can see the dead Han in the background. That's the Hasbro one. I forgot he was up there. This is a Bausch build, is who made this. Annie, she does amazing work. I can still kind of find her on Facebook, but she's not building them like she was. And I got this off of a seller, Sean Kuntz, who's amazing to work with. If you ever see anything that he's selling, he's trustworthy for sure, 100%. He even hit me up. I don't know how many months after I bought this from him, and he had shipped it. And he goes, I just found a plaque, which you can see at the bottom there, that I had made for it. I would like to send it to you. Is that cool? Absolutely. He just sent it to me.
Wow. That is pretty cool. Yeah, that's a cool helmet, too. Very iconic, I feel like.
That's got to be one of the harder helmets to do. Yeah. So this is what it looks like now. So it's a little bit different. So you see I've got the AT-AT helmet, which I got from Trooper Helmet. Vince, and I've got a snowy there. That's the RS Stormtrooper. I put the Incinerator Trooper up on the shelf. Yeah. And then the bottom one, the Hasbro one, is exploded for the Vader.
You got the stand for it that shows the pieces? Or how did you do it? Okay.
I just figured it out. I took I forget what I used. I have these clamps and things that I use for the cameras that have a clamp and then the ball, and I put something together to hold them apart. That's how I did it.
Gotcha.
But if you have a chance, get the ones you can find on Etsy that do that, because it's a lot easier than the way I did it.
Okay.
A lot easier.
Good to know. And then I've seen these in a few people's collections, and they're always impressive to me.
So this is the Trooper Trent model, and he still sells the kit, but not with the ball and the magnetic part. That you'd have to get on Amazon or whatever. But definitely look for him, Trooper Trent. His kits are amazing. You've got to drill the holes. You've got to build the whole piece. He has a series of videos on YouTube that you cannot fail. You cannot fail at making one of these. You look at that and you think, oh my gosh, there's no way I could ever do that. Yes, you can, 100%. You can do it. He's got a series of videos. There's no way to fail it. And I did it. Jeff has done it. Sean Solo has done it. We've all done that kit. Absolutely loved every second of it. And that thing spins and can light up and do all of it. But it floats there and spins around. And it looks a lot, almost, it is out of the screen practically is how it looks. I love that piece. And that's why I had to do the helmet to go with it.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. When Sean like he showed me and he was like, I put that together, and I was like, no way. And he was like,
Hmm.
yeah, I bought the kit and I did it, and I was like, wow, like that's impressive. So I always like those pieces. I think they're cool looking.
Well, the other thing that's good is when you got people that care enough about their product and that they help you, not just yeah, here you go, good luck.
Yeah.
Like with Trooper Trent, like I said, he holds your hand all the way through it with these videos. There's no way you can screw up, and I love that. I love it when people do stuff like that and that they're there to help. They want you to be successful, not just to get your dollar. It's a
Yeah,
big difference.
absolutely. It is. And that's why I think Rex is like so important, because I feel like he makes the videos, or he's like starting to do more of the videos and showing in like anytime you have a question, you could just ask him. And I was like, man, like we need more people like Rex and Trooper Trent, because there are people that want to get into like crafting and doing all that kind of stuff through collecting, but sometimes people don't want to help you. So I feel like
Well,
having that help is important.
here's the thing. So, like Zombie Hunter, Robert,
Hmm.
Australia, 3D printer. Scott, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? I don't know, man. I got to do some research, all this other stuff, right? So he's always been pushing, but now you see him in chat and he's like, Scott, you could print that. Scott, you could print that. So thank you, Robert, for that. But then we had an issue with the first printer, and it's something I learned. It was getting too hot inside the printer. It was causing what's called heat creep, where it would heat up and melt the filament too high up, so it couldn't push it through, right? So I learned I just have to take the lid off. I got to let it. It's been too hot here. It's been in high 80s, 90s. I didn't say anything. Janine posted something on Facebook, and within like I think 20 minutes or something, Rex is calling me. Hey, what's going on? Da 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 da. How can I? Okay, what's happening? Justin from Utini Designs. Justin's calling me. So you probably got this. He's the one that knew exactly what it was. But both of them just came running into the room of like, how can we help you? I'm still blown away by that. That is amazing. That's the type of community that is awesome and that is so important, is that everybody worries and cares about everybody else and is there to help. And it's like, I don't know. Still blown away by, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Just these phone
Yeah,
calls coming in. I didn't do anything. It was just her post, and these guys knew, hey, he needs help. Let's contact him. That's
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah. It is. It is very cool. Especially like they got your backs, and
Yes,
that's important. So love it. And I think that's like a little
that's behind
too
me. Yeah.
much here behind
In
you.
my chair. Yeah, my chair has a Star Wars on it somewhere. It's hard to see behind me, but
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah,
Absolutely.
that's how it's sitting at the moment. I usually have had the Dejaric table. I sound like I'm drinking. Dejaric table and hollow chest and that helmet there. But because I'm in the middle of making this piece, I
Hmm.
don't want to get ruined, and I need this table for work because I got keyboards coming on and off. I have to film, I have to teach, I have to do all this other stuff. So I didn't want to leave it up here, which I wish I could. But
Absolutely.
yeah, that's kind of what it looks like, and you can see some of the lighting up there on the top, and I got the cameras all going through here. So like here's
Yeah.
another. Nope, here it is. There you go. There's another camera sitting there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's pretty cool how you can like change the cameras.
Mhm.
You get a cool setup. I like that.
Yeah, it's fun. And then there's
Is
that
that
again. Yeah.
the same
Hmm.
picture?
Yeah, I think it is one shown earlier. I didn't send. I mean, there's still more. Janine sent some good stuff like that. That was a lightsaber table that we had for a little while, and now those lightsabers are underneath it. But that first one there, I believe, is the Roman props Obi-Wan, which has got to be amazing because it's Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 4. That's the Alec Guinness one, and it is beautiful and it's heavy and it's Roman props. Does amazing stuff. If you guys are looking for lightsabers or thermal detonators, he's the person to go to. The other ones are some of them are Corbant, some of them are actually Disney.
Okay.
The ones from the parks.
Hmm.
There's some Corbant. I think there's a V4 in there, and the Mace Windu in the middle. That's Corbant. That's the BMF. It actually has the plate that you can change out for BMF. Yeah, they're addicting. They're beautiful because just hold them. I don't have to have them installed. I have one installed, which is the Graflex, which is the original, Luke Skywalker saber, because that's
Yeah.
the first time I ever saw one. Pew! Light up, and I'm like, oh, was glued. That's the one that had to be done. But they are, yeah, they're awesome to have. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, the sabers are, especially the replica ones. They feel so much better because you're like, wow, I'm holding Princess Leia's lightsaber,
Right?
and then when you see them light up and stuff, it's crazy the technology that they've put into some of those like boards and stuff to be able to do that. So, it
Well,
impresses
even
me.
as a kid, walking around with like a little dowel or something, pretending it's a lightsaber, or the plasticky ones that we did get at some point. It's nothing compared to this. This is like you feel like you're, yeah, and especially with that, pew, and seeing it light up and going, oh my gosh, yeah.
And the sound fonts and stuff that they could put into it. Yeah, me and my sister used to use like when wrapping paper kind of runs out and you have those like hollow like tubes.
Yes.
We
Oh,
used to
did
use
that,
those all the time, and then my dad got me one of the ones that you could like flick out, and they were like plastic. And now I have one that like actually lights up and has sound. And I was like, wow, really?
and you sit there going, and doing that is just a blast. Yeah,
100%. It's so amusing, and then you get to like spin it. And I'm like, ooh, I could do the Obi Annie. So
the Opie. Nice.
It is so
Nice.
fun. I love it. And
That's
then
awesome.
I think this is like your
That was
Mandalorian.
the beginning. Yeah, so that was kind of within the first year or so of starting to do this stuff, and yeah, you could see it became addictive very quickly.
Yeah, so that was like what it looked like prior, and now we've changed it up a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, it's gone up to the upper shelf instead of the boxes, and then what's behind me, and then there's still, I don't know, 5 boxes I have to open and get them out. But it's like I like to spend my time with it. You open up the box, you pull the figure out, you kind of get an idea what I want to pose, what I want to put with them. You get it all set up, and then you put it up. And it's just, that kind of time I kind of haven't had. I find myself, I'm doing something else at the moment. But, yeah, it's priority. Because I want to get Bausch over there with Han and Carbonite. And I have another Luke Skywalker, that's Endor, that I want to put with the Biker Scout. And I've got the Return of the Jedi, one that I want to put next to Vader, because I've got a Return of the Jedi Vader coming, and the big Dubek
Okay.
with the yeah. So
Wow, that'll be cool to see when you unbox it.
yeah, where am I gonna put it? It's got to go in one of these, but yeah.
Yeah, you just gotta get more shelves, and then you just run out of space. And
Yeah.
Space is a collector's worst enemy. Say it all
It is.
the time.
It is. You need bigger place. George Carlin used to have a skit called Stuff, or the S word, if you want to go into that, where he talks about it. Why do you buy a house? Because you have too much stuff. And why do you get another house? Because you don't have enough room for your stuff, and you're trying to get your stuff into a bigger place. And garage sales are the same type of thing. You're just trying to get your stuff into somebody else's house. That's really all it is. So.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
And I
this is
think I've
our
seen it.
staircase. What?
I think she showed me a picture of this one when we were
Yep.
talking, and I was like, wow, that is pretty cool. And you got the X-Wing up top, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the big one that she did. It's, God, I don't know how big it is. 24, 32 inches. It's big. It's huge.
Yeah, that thing looks crazy. I like how you have it like set up. It's very in theme, and then you have the what do they call those next to the mirror?
Oh, the panels. They're privacy panels, I think, is what they actually are. But this is the Home Depot one, and everybody was like, "It's so Star Warsy looking." Janine at the time worked at Home Depot, so she got a panel, brought it home. I cut it in half so I could get it on either side of the mirror like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's like the Death Star panel kind of looking things.
Yeah, I see them like all the time, and then people will put like lights behind it and stuff, and like that's kind of like their backdrop. But I never like know what to call them. So
Yeah, it's actually I forget what it's made out of. It's some sort of composite material, but like Home Depot, I think their class is like privacy walls for outside, right? So that it's not totally closed off like a wall, but it's still shields a little bit, hides stuff. So
gotcha. Okay, cool beans. And then the C-3PO bust, I think you mentioned earlier.
Yep, that's a Corbath piece. I still like it quite a bit. It's not the greatest in the world, but it does the job. I'm happy with it. That's a Regal Robot droid thingy. I can't think of the name. But yeah, that's on him. Yeah, I'll probably go through and sand him sometime. I may repaint him. I may actually print one. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I enjoy it, and we both enjoy it for now. He's on the other side, so Boba Fett's over here, and C-3PO's on that side of the TV.
Okay, so you got like bookends, kind of.
Right?
That would be
And
cool.
I think the last photo you got in there is the more or less Hoth display. Yeah. So Janine had a thing where she wanted to do a full Han. She found the costume on Amazon, and we put it together, and we've changed some things. And then, of course, you see the little shells for the blasters.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the Leia one is actually the little toy one, the rubies, that's been repainted. It looks fantastic. The E11 I got from Joe Hazy. The Scout is one that Gabe gave me from Trooper Bay. It's down here. That Star Destroyer is actually a 4D cardboard model.
Oh, wow.
It's done. You just fold it and, put it all together. It's pretty involved. It took me like 2 nights to put that thing together, but it looks fantastic. And then up on top is the Boba Fett blaster that I was talking about that came with the bust. And that cell that's up there on the other side is Empire Strikes Back with all that. That all came with the bust. So that thing's, I don't know. I forget what it's worth. $100, $300, something like that. And the blaster, I don't know. It's got to be somewhere in that too. But those two were given for a lesser cost for that Boba bust because the guy wanted it to go to a good home, which is amazing.
It's a steal.
But yeah.
And I feel like that's important too, because when I sell some of my stuff, I'm like, I really want it to go to a good home. And sometimes that definitely means more to me than just trying to get the highest dollar value. If someone else is going to appreciate it more than I'm appreciating it currently, just you could have it.
Yeah, it depends on your mode and where you're at with it. If it's something that you've had for a while, that you've got sentimental value to it, but you're like, I just don't have a place for it. I'm not enjoying it like I did. I want somebody else to have it and enjoy it. Or I had my time with it. It's good. I think I can get $700 for this. You know what I mean? It's like there's just two things for you. Either one's fine. Just don't be a jerk with things. Like, in other words, don't buy something that's new just to resell it for more. Just don't be like that. Sit on it for a while if you're going to do something like that. That's all.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, those were all the pictures you sent me, so I guess I'll ask you my wrap-up question.
Okay.
Since this is a collecting podcast, and you are clearly a very experienced collector, if you could give one piece of advice to like a new collector or any collector out there, what would it be?
Don't do it. No, seriously. Absolutely. Collect what you love. First of all, collect what you love. Don't listen to anybody where they would tell you, oh, you got to have this, or you should get that, or you got that, you're stupid. No, collect what you love, and it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a little tiny Hot Wheel car, Matchbox car, up to, a full-size replica DeLorean or something like that. Whatever it is, collect what you love, because it's got to make you feel good here, right? That's the most important thing, because it's all about the love that you have for things or a movie or whatever it is that you're collecting, but you want it to make you feel good here. That's why you do it, right? And don't let yourself talk you out of certain things. I mean, don't be foolish. Don't be stupid. But if you really want something, you can figure out a way to get it. Just don't be dumb. Just be a little dumb as far as, okay, I stretched myself a little bit, but I really wanted to have it. Do it. Make yourself happy. Don't just constantly, okay, I'm trying to, make sure I've got this much money saved aside in this little thing and that thing. You're saving for a day that may not come. Life is short. You don't know what's going to happen. Be happy now. Live in the present. Look forward to the future, that kind of a thing. So that's one. And also, two, space is going to be a problem. It always is. Don't feel that you have to buy everything. You may reserve and be like, I'm only going to buy really high-end stuff, and that's what I want, and it's once every couple years. It could be, I love collecting little things, and I get 3 or 4 a week. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Do you. Do what makes you happy. That's the biggest one.
Yeah, those are some very good pieces of advice and words of wisdom. So I appreciate you coming on. It was really a pleasure getting to talk with you and, get to see the other half of the collection that you guys have kind of built together. So
I can't tell you how fortunate I am that she's into it. I mean, that she's totally into it, because I've got friends, close friends, that are amazing people and in my book famous, and they're not allowed to go outside their room. It's like they cannot bring something out into the living room or into the bedroom. No, they have a room. That's all they get. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't have that. And I got somebody that I can talk to and say, I'm thinking about this. And she can go, no, what, you know what I mean? Instead of like, what did you spend it on? How much did you spend on this? I don't get any of that. So I'm very, very fortunate to have her.
You guys are definitely a power couple in my book. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but before we hop off, can you let people
Mm.
know one more time where they can find you? If you guys have
Mm.
anything upcoming that you want people to be on the lookout for?
Nothing I can think of off the top of my head. Of course, as soon as we'll sign off, I'll be like, but yeah. So Spice Runners Lounge, definitely go check out Spice Runners Lounge. If you're on Facebook, that's great. You can also follow us, I think, on Instagram. I'm in there. I'm probably Scottykeyz, which is SCOTTYKEYZ. It's got a Z on it. You can also find me on Facebook, Scott Berry or Scottykeyz, somewhere around there if you want. I'm kind of mellow. I'm busy a lot with a lot of things. I do go in there and check, but that's it. Spice Runner's awesome. Also check out Rogue 5 Cantina, which is what my wife Janine is on. She's on every Sunday night. They're actually on tonight right now, which is Sunday when we're filming this. I think this is airing Thursday. But yeah, Rogue 5 Cantina, definitely check them out. Spice Runners Lounge. That's where we have the fun. So come hang out. That's it.
Absolutely. And I will put all of your links down in the description so people can find you easily. And again, thank you so much for coming on. It was really great getting to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Lex. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and doing this, because the interviews that you've been doing with everybody else have been absolutely fantastic, and you knock it out of the park. So thank you for allowing me to be part of that group.
No, absolutely. I appreciate it. So again, thank you so much. And I will see everybody next Thursday.
Later, guys. Thanks.